things you read quite a lot online about is how difficult it is to use an Axe Effects. So I wanted to show you in this video what it's actually like to use the unit. Now, in the past there are other Axe Effects units which I think are way more difficult to program. I do think they've made quite a big leap forward with the FM3 onwards, Axe Effects 3, FM9. These are, I think, the most user-friendly units that they've come out with so far. I have used an Axe 8 and that was by contrast very difficult to use and not particularly quick to use on the unit itself. The good news with the Fractal stuff is that they do also provide really good PC or computer editors, which you tend to see other people using online. So if you're really in a pinch, you could use a laptop, and I think some of the guys that tour with these do even, obviously they have laptops on tour and stuff, so if they need to make an edit, they could do it that way if they don't get on with the user interface at all. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you've managed to tame the beast, the Axe Effects. This is not something that I use every day. If it was, I think I'd be way more quick using it. Obviously I use the Helix and stuff most of the time, so that's kind of the interface that I'm most comfortable with. But the Axe, once you start to get used to it, is pretty logical. There is a learning curve, but with that learning curve there's the most kind of powerful modeler in the world, and it's got potential to do a whole bunch of things that really no other modeler gets anywhere near to the kind of granular level of detail that you can get into with an Axe Effects. So if you're a tweaker, there's really nothing better out there, in my opinion.
Okay, so today I wanted to kind of build some sort of preset on the Axe Effects that I could use for a kind of contemporary worship kind of thing. Although I don't play in a church, I did grow up in a church, but you know, this sort of thing, maybe something voxy, something dark, something that has plenty of reverb and delay. And so I'm going to build it on the unit itself so you can see what it's like to actually use the unit. There's also a buy me a coffee link in case you wanted to use that to get this preset once I'm done with it. But I think let's start with an AC30 of some form. Here we are. So we're going to go with the top boost channel of a class A. Okay, and if we go across, I think I'm going to start roughly like this. The high cut at about 1. Okay, and obviously we need to also create the in and the out. So now I'll create a cab, and what we're going to go for is factory 1. If we go towards the end, class A, we'll go with this 160 and then also 57 SM7. That'll be cool, hopefully. So what does this sound like straight out of the box? We get this kind of tone. So that kind of super responsive thing. Actually, I'm also going to pan these, I think, just so we get a bit more stuff going on. Right, so that's cool as a baseline starting point. What I also want here then, we'll go for a nice reverb. So one of my favorite reverbs in here, which I think could be appropriate for this kind of thing, the Nimbus Stratus down here. The time I'm going to take down a bit from there to maybe about 10 seconds. Something a bit more usable. Just a nice lush reverb, and I'm going to change the quality, I think, to be, we've got it at ultra high at the moment, let's change it down to high just for now. So that's all good. And what else? Let's chuck in a delay, maybe a multi-tap delay. Just something that kind of shows off some of what's possible here. Multi-tap delay, where are you? Right. Because this has some really, really nice kind of presets. The PCM circular, for example. So that's a fairly cool starting point, I think. And now, what else I might do though is change this to scene 3. I'm going to keep everything the same, but what I want really, I think, is potentially a cleaner tone. So I'm going to go over to here, the drive, and I'm going to modify it to have the drive controlled by scene controller 1, I think. No, that's the high cut. That's not what I want. Modifier. None. Drive. Modifier. Scene controller 1. Where have you gone? That one. Right. We had it at 5, right? And also I'm going to have the level controlled, because I'm probably going to have to take that up to compensate for the drive, by scene controller 2. Okay, now if we go into our controllers, scene controller, where are you? Page across, scene controller, so scene 1, controller 1 is drive. I'm going to have that where it is at the moment, 50%, and controller 2 is our level, which I'm going to put at about 70% for now. For our solo, I want the level to stay the same-ish, but we're going to be getting more volume through having an enhanced drive. Then, scene 3, I want to be clean-ish, or more clean, so we're going to go for 35, and to compensate for that volume, we're going to have that at something like 90, 85. Let's see what that does. 85, let's just try that now. So if we press store, so I think the drive is good, but I think we need to take this volume down a bit. Maybe like an 8% increase is more in keeping with. Still not quite right. Controllers. Or maybe it's just a tiny boost that's needed then. Yeah, nice. Right, so that works quite nicely. And then I want to also put on a drive as well. Layout. Put in a drive pedal. Here we are. Something like a Timmy could be good for this. So we'll go Timothy mid and keep everything kind of halfway. So pretty glassy kind of thing. If we go back to the layout, I'm going to bypass that by default though. Bypass, and then scene 2, also bypass, scene 3, bypass. So now you've got that as an option for drive. So that would work on FM3 as well, right? So let me just call that FM3. And what I might do is just add a few more little cool effects to that, like maybe some modulation and stuff. What have we got? If we put some even after the reverb and stuff, where are you? Chorus, something pretty. We save this here. I can add a whole other amp and cab, right? Because that's kind of one of the things about this. So if I also add, let's try and do something cool. What would work well here? Obviously we got an AC30 already. Maybe Matchless Chieftain could work. Right. And that into, let's keep this cab straight in the middle, Legacy Cab 103, and go here, and I'm going to just join that up here and see. All of that is to say, don't be afraid of the axe effects. I know it kind of looks fairly daunting in a lot of videos, but it's not necessarily super complicated. I think once you get used to using it, you know, there is plenty of stuff to really dig about this. If you wanted to get really in depth, this is the kind of scary stuff that you can find in there though. Right, you've got like in the amp specifically, you've got the tone page, which is like the normal kind of thing. You can change your input EQ, your output EQ. You can kind of change your input boost, change your preamp tube types. Let's have a listen to, you know, all of this sort of stuff, which I very rarely, if ever, touch. You know, output compression, this sort of stuff. But I'm very rarely actually going in and making changes to that sort of stuff. But nice to know that if one day I got stranded on a desert island, it'd be very tough to get bored with the Axe FX 3. Thank you for stopping by. Let me know if you want me to drop these into the folder. Use the Buy Me a Coffee link to get those. As I say, the FM3, I'm going to change that to Axe FX 3 Vox. I may add some other little bits and pieces, but that's kind of your basic tones there, which are not difficult to achieve. Solo, and then the more rhythm. And I'll probably put in scenes with the delay on and scenes with the delay off that might be useful. Catch you in another video soon. Cheers for now.